Vonck. We have been watching the movie together that I made. It is a result basically of working 5 years with Master of Music students in their artistic research. And I feel that the didactic model that you developed, the journey, is a very workable research approach for the students. And what I did is that I combined the artistic research intervention cycle that I designed, which also has 5 different phases, successive phases. I have combined that with the journey and the 5 domains. Now, to test that, in reality, I interviewed the famous Dutch pianist Ralph van Raat, following the combination of the journey and my intervention cycle. But one topic that I did not address yet was the concept of flow. Can you maybe add something about that on basis of what you saw in the movie?
Sure, I can say something about flow. First of all, I thought it was a very interesting documentary of Ralph, because it's a real story that he tells us, and about this young boy of 11 years old who was so fascinated by this piano and how he combined music, and nothing could stop him. He just pursued it, and if there's anybody who knew about flow experiences, it's him. And it's also, I think, secretly the reason why he could persist so long, because it was so much close to his heart, so much his passion. He was so much completely immersed in what he was doing. And that's what flow is about. In the cycle, in the didactic learning cycle that we use, flow is sort of the red thread of Ariadne, you know, the crimson line that connects all. Because the flow theory in short means that people completely get involved in the activity that they do. They're fully immersed, they lose themselves in the activity. And by doing that, in that heightened state of attention, they raise the bar just a bit all the time. So it's a generative learning cycle at the same time. Very open, very present, and at the same time learning. And even though it's not being mentioned in your little documentary, it's very obvious that he knows the state of flow.
Yeah. So may I ask, for the sake of interest for the students who are involved in their research, at least they have to be involved in the research, if I understand correctly, flow doesn't only apply to the moment of performance, but applies to the execution of the whole journey. Is that right?
That's right. That's correct. Yeah, we coined it sustainable performance, not once giving your best, but how can I do it again and again? What is the secret of being able to bring out the best that you have? And it is in the execution of your art, and not just on stage. And that's how we designed the journey. The journey is based on a few principles. The journey itself is Joseph Campbell's work, the man who knew everything about mythology and wrote the book The Hero with 1,000 Faces years ago, which gives a structure to all the world stories on heroes, and that structure has similarity. And we're using that structure in the hero's journey, and in the journey now as a didactic model. Interesting thing is that it uses archetypes that are underneath it, so you also learn very deeply on a symbolic level. It's real deep learning. At the same time, we cross that journey of Joseph Campbell, that hero's journey, with 2 theories. One is the open systems thinking, or ecological learning, or ecological social ecology is the better word, and which is the social component of the theory. And the other one is positive psychology, and namely the theory of flow. Csikszentmihalyi is responsible for bringing out that theory. And at the crossroad of these two, of this social psychological crossing, that's where the learning accelerates. We had some experience with it when we coached the Olympic team on the way to Athens, and seeing how we used the platform where we could not just teach people tricks but have a systemic way of learning mental and social skills and behaviors that would stick. And this seems to be a very adequate way.
Yeah. Now my intention is to implement this model as a research tool in the Master of Music. And I would like to ask your opinion about the value of this model for doing artistic research.
Okay, I think it's a very interesting take, and I think it's also achievable. Because you hit on a very sensitive part. You hit what is called, academically, the epistemology of learning, the theories of learning. We are very much in a vocational world, in the arts, in music, dance, and circus arts, as we have in the codex. So a lot of the real academic models or paradigms of learning, which are very reductionistic oftentimes, break things down in smallest parts, the analysis, and then build it up again to a level of abstraction. It's not always so workable for these students, not only workable. And if you look at the journey as a model, you can see it on a macro level as an intervention cycle, as you said, with a clear analysis and a clear purpose and goal, and your resources that come in. So it stays in a way a cycle of research on a macro level, analytical and quantifiable. At the same time, it's like a double helix. It has two strands that are intertwined. And on the other side, it's a personal development, like that personal development journey that student goes on. And when it's so close to you, it becomes ecological learning, direct perception, which is not about breaking things down into its smallest parts, but it's based on directly perceiving from the environment and making sense of all the small variances that you see. And that's the way musicians or dancers learn in their life, slowly building up those small nuances and variances. That's where that motoric or musical intelligence comes from. And that's ecological learning will completely come to fulfillment in this approach. Well, I think it's interesting that if the journey is being implemented as a model for an academic model or a research model, that we are working on both sides. It's a double helix, the personal development and the academic results. My notion is that this is a very good effort, a very good initiative by you, Henrice, because I feel that finally these different paradigms of learning are coming together, because it's always such a paradox. And we've seen many students in this master class and doing research that we have the hardest time with, because we don't have the modalities to understand or to get a grip on what they really know and what they want to express. Oftentimes we're so stuck in our, let's say, ancient academic models that we're not doing right to them. We're not doing justice to them. And I think this approach may allow many more talented students to express their knowing and their experience and their knowledge about their art.
Thank you.